Someone filed a lawsuit against Disney, claiming that the company stole their idea and turned it into Moana. The suit seeks 2.5% of Moana's gross revenue in damages, or in money terms, $250 million. I'm not going to bury the lead. Buck Woodall filed a lawsuit in California federal court claiming that Disney stole the concept of Moana from his screenplay for his film called Bucky. The Hollywood Reporter gives the details, quote, starting in 2003, Woodall says that he provided the screenplay and a trailer for Bucky to former Mandeville Films Director of Development Jenny Marchak. She allegedly asked about providing further materials, including character designs, production plans, and storyboards, by assuring him that she could greenlight the film. At the time, Mandeville had a first-look deal with Disney and had offices on its facilities in Burbank, according to the complaint. The lawsuit points to similarities between Moana and Bucky. One example, both celebrate a recurring theme of the Polynesian belief in spiritual ancestors manifested as animals. Other similarities include the protagonist's journey starting with a turtle, a plot involving a symbolic necklace, a main character who encounters a demigod adorned with a giant hook and tattoos, and a giant creature that's concealed within a mountain. Now, I haven't seen Moana, but everything they just described matches the bare minimum you'd know just looking at the ads. If it's that close, that's mighty suspicious. Woodall also claims that Disney used some of his ideas in Moana too. Quote, both works, for instance, featured a protagonist searching for an ancient island and undertaking a mission to break a curse. The lawsuit adds, Moana and her crew are sucked into a perilous, whirlpool-like oceanic portal, another dramatic and unique device imagery found in plaintiff's materials that could not possibly have been developed by chance or without malicious intentions. If this is true, that's bold. Even for Disney, that is bold. Now, Woodall tried to file a lawsuit before, but a court ruled that he missed the statute of limitations window. With the release of Moana 2, he could now pursue the case, and this sounds like a pretty good case, if he has the evidence to back it up. If Woodall still has a screenplay and concept art for Bucky, and it matches what he claims, it's going to be hard for Disney to deny the similarities. It'll be worse if he can prove that anyone who saw the script and art worked at Disney around the time Moana began development and production. It's not perfect evidence, but it does help his case. I'd like to see Woodall's concept art for Bucky. Obviously, if somebody's telling a Polynesian-based story, there might be coincidental similarities, but it's rare that they'd have the same minute details. If that's what he's got, something that close to what's in Moana, I don't know how Disney could explain that away, and I don't think any sensible jury would buy their explanation. And that brings us back to the damages Woodall seeks. Quote, Woodall seeks damages equivalent to 2.5% of Moana's gross revenue, or $10 billion, as well as a court order barring further infringement of his copyrights. God damn! I knew Moana was popular, but I didn't know it pulled in that kind of money. That's a lot of money. And Woodall wants $250 million of it. Disney is not giving him $250 million. Even if he has a slam dunk case with audio from a board meeting with someone saying, we're going to use Buck Woodall's film Bucky, change the name and the sex of the main character and call it Moana, Disney ain't giving him $250 million. He's going to have to pry that money out of Walt's cold, dead hands. Literally. Best case scenario, Disney might settle with him for a couple $100,000, maybe a few million, but not $250 million. And this is the type of case Disney's lawyers love because they will try to drag this out for years. They've got the money. I'm pretty sure Woodall doesn't. They will delay proceedings until he taps out. Of course, Disney claims that they didn't rip off Woodall's idea. Ron Clements, the co-director of Moana, told the court that Moana wasn't based on Woodall's project, and Disney submitted documents, story ideas, pitch materials, written research, travel journals, and scripts detailing Moana's development to prove their case. Like I said before, it really comes down to what Woodall can present. If his concept art matches what Disney submitted to the court, and he can prove that someone from Disney had access to his work during Moana's development or production, that's going to work in his favor. Now, this isn't the first time someone's accused Disney of plagiarism. Back in 1994, Disney got accused of ripping off Osamu Tezuka's Kimba the White Lion when they made The Lion King. Disney denied the claims, but the evidence is not on Disney's side. The Hollywood Reporter talked about it in another article, and it's just crazy. Quote, in The Lion King, the main villain is the evil lion named Scar, who has a black mane and a scar over his left eye. In Kimba, the main villain is an evil lion named Claw, who has a black mane and a scar in place of his left eye. Claw's henchmen include 2 spotted hyenas. Scar's henchmen include 3 spotted hyenas. Both Simba and Kimba have, among their small circle of advisors, a wise, sage-like mandrill and a bird. Lion King's Zazu is a hornbill. Kimba's Polly is a parrot. There are even early pieces of concept art from The Lion King that depict Simba as a white lion. But it was the images, The Lion King and Kimba feature several scenes and shots that appear to mirror one another that critics felt was the strongest evidence of Disney artists having borrowed from Tezuka. That last part is a little tricky because in 1997, 3 years after The Lion King's release, another Kimba film came out called Jungle Emperor Leo. Leo is Kimba's original Japanese name. And some of the shots people used to prove the plagiarism come from that film. Obviously, the creators of that film could have copied visual elements from The Lion King, so it's not fair to use anything from that movie. However, that doesn't account for all the similarities. Worse, there's the concept art of Simba as a white lion, and white lions aren't common. It'd be one hell of a coincidence that the creative team would use that design, which implies that some people working on The Lion King were aware of Kimba. That would make sense considering that Kimba aired in the US back in the 60s. Co-director Rob Minkoff claimed that he never heard of Kimba, but Simba himself, Matthew Broderick, said in an interview that when he saw the film's working title Simba, quote, I thought they meant Kimba, who was a white lion on TV when I was a little kid, so I kept telling everyone I was going to play Kimba. Oops. For their part, Tezuka Productions chose not to pursue any litigation, possibly because lawsuits are frowned upon in Japan, but also because Disney isn't the only company to borrow other people's ideas. Tezuka himself admitted that he based Jungle Emperor Leo on Disney's Bambi, a film he claimed he saw 100 times, and there may be things in Tezuka Productions' animation that Disney could countersue over, so they kinda dropped it. A few years later, the roles got reversed, with Disney's Pixar accusing DreamWorks of stealing their idea for A Bug's Life with the DreamWorks movie Ants. Both movies center on some bumbling ne'er-do-well trying to hook up with the princess by saving their people. This is worse than the Lion King Kimba situation because Pixar's John Lasseter says that he told DreamWorks' Jeffrey Katzenberg about A Bug's Life in detail, hoping to get some feedback from Katzenberg. According to Lasseter, Katzenberg kept asking about the release date. For those who don't know, Katzenberg previously worked at Disney, but then they fell out, and he believed that the company had it out for him. So based on the way that this all went down, it kinda looks like Katzenberg stole the idea to screw over Disney. By the way, the screw job was mutual. Disney planned to release A Bug's Life on the same weekend as DreamWorks' first animated film, Prince of Egypt. That's not unusual, they are competing companies, but it's still a dick move, because Disney films usually take all the attention. Katzenberg decided to move the release date for Ants to a few weeks before A Bug's Life came out, and then tried to convince, some may say coerce, Steve Jobs, who was part of Pixar, to move A Bug's Life so it wouldn't compete with Prince of Egypt. That didn't happen, so Ants came out in October 1998, A Bug's Life in November, and Prince of Egypt got bumped back to December. In case you're wondering, Pixar won the box office, but both films were critically acclaimed. The aftermath, though, was that tensions remained high between all 3 men for years, although the animators for the films got along. Bringing it back to Buck Woodall, I don't know if he'll drop his claim like Tezuka Productions or stand his ground like Pixar. If he's got evidence proving his case, not just the art, but something showing that the people involved in the development and production of Moana knew about his film, a jury will likely side with him because it's too close to be coincidence. But Disney might drag this out in court, and that might be too expensive for Woodall to manage. If he's got damning evidence, enough to ensure that Disney would likely lose the lawsuit, they might offer him a settlement. Hell, they might even offer him one just to make him go away, but it won't be anywhere near $250 million, and they're definitely not giving up any copyright claims. Disney is not going to give up an obvious moneymaker like Moana, but they will dangle some cash in front of Woodall to make him shut up. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.